In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. Animals associated with witchcraft usually include tricksters, such as coyotes. However, it may include other creatures, usually those associated with death or bad omens. They might also possess living animals or people and walk around in their bodies. Deers are also frequently used by skinwalkers to disguise themselves, and that's exactly where the phrase "not deer" came from. A not deer is more or less a skinwalker who wasn't able to fully transform, either coming out extremely deformed or having extra limbs and even sometimes decaying. They also have the ability to sound like people in distress. The goal there is to more or less lure as many people in as possible, and then of course kill them. Picture this: you're on a family camping trip. Your brother decides to go out to use the bathroom, and doesn't come back for around 15-20 minutes, and you decide to go look for him. You hear his voice to the left, but then you also hear his voice to the right. You're then not sure which one to choose. You go to the left because for some reason it sounds more like your brother, and it turns out being something that's completely unworldly. There's been sightings of skinwalkers since the early 1980s, but no one knows how many people have truly seen them. Seems as though if you end up seeing one, you're more than likely already gone. It's also stated in the literature that if you say the name Skinwalker, you're more or less inviting them in, or making them aware of your presence, which definitely gives me a little bit of goosebumps while making this video. You can believe it or not believe it, but there's been a ton of sightings, as I said, over the last couple years, more than I can count, in actual real-world encounters of people, and them telling their stories of how they were able to escape said skinwalkers. The moral of the story is this: don't mess with things you don't know anything about. If you're out camping or you're out somewhere and you have someone next to you and you know that they're there, and you hear their voice in the distance, kind of start thinking twice. On top of that, if you hear a human in distress that sounds like a human but is just a little bit off, even by tones, stay very far away. As I said, that's the main way they try and lure people in, by sounding like a distressed human. And as soon as you get close enough, as I said before, they are going to kill you. That is the main goal. It's an extremely evil practice by harmful witches who are only out for their benefit. And as I stated before, most of the animals that they transform into are animals that they have the hide of, which is most of the time a coyote or a deer. But there have been other instances, as I said, where they do transform into other things, such as people, sometimes even as bears. These are things that are completely supernatural, and things that you should definitely stay very, very far away from. If this video gets 150 likes, I will do a deep dive into Skinwalker Ranch, telling you guys exactly the pinpoint location of where 95% of all Skinwalker sightings are, why they're there, and that million-dollar question to decide whether or not these are actually real, or if it's just some kind of folklore.